Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies again. And this is another card that we made. It was floating all around the internet and Pinterest, and I fell in love with it. So I wanted to share it with the people in my stamp group, and I also wanted to share it on my blog with you guys to show what I had come up with. I first saw this as a card from Sam Calcott in the UK, and hers was a larger card, so I had to kind of revamp it to fit the standard card size that we use in the US. And so these are the kind of the measurements that I came up with. I did find another demonstrator had done one that was a horizontal, and I have also shared information, or I will be sharing information on my blog about her and the measurements that she came up with, because they were very cute as well. And so this card is the one that I wanted to share with everyone, and it just creates kind of an arrow shape that you can have a very pretty card, and it's not really that difficult once you see how it's done. So the pieces and parts that you will need is a card base. This one is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and then it is cut and folded at 5 1/2. And then I'll come back to that. There is a Whisper White cardstock piece that is going to be on the inside, and this is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches to be able to stamp a sentiment on the center and the side, and it also creates a border for the designer series paper. The designer series paper is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 1/8, and then you'll also need some die cuts that are cut out with a coordinating designer series. You can do them designer series paper, but cardstocks, and then I used the Balmy Blue Glimmer paper again. This is a product class that we are doing, we're using products from the Snowflake Splendor, and this is the Snowflake Wishes stamp set and the So Many Snowflakes dies, and there are so many involved in these, and getting them as a bundle is a great buy. You save 10% through buying them as a bundle instead of separately. This stamp set, the pictures shown are at 70%. There's 17 stamps. So there's 6 different stamps for sentiments and several stamps for the snowflakes. And they're all larger than what they appear right here. And it's just a really great set to have. I tried talking myself out of it for a long time, and then I just couldn't anymore, so I went ahead and bought that. So let me go ahead and share how to do this part of the card. So what you're going to also need is a ruler and a pencil. You want to make sure you have a good eraser. My pencils aren't very good, so I found a very good eraser that I have been using to help get rid of the marks. But you're going to want to, on the front of your card, at the bottom, you're going to want to measure over and mark at 2 1/8, and just lightly put a mark there. Then you're going to go up from the bottom on both sides and measure up 1 3/4 inch and 3 1/2 inch, and go ahead and put a mark at each of those places. And then what you're going to do, and it is best to use a trimmer. It's really difficult to do on a scoreboard to do this. So, and I've already done one side. I'm going to go ahead and show this side. But you're going to want to score a line from where the center score line meets the edge down to this bottom point here at the bottom of the card front. And I just use this lighter color blade, and I just score between those two lines. Then you're going to want to move that to your next score line, which is the 3 1/2 inch mark on this side, and again to the center mark at the bottom down here. and you'll do another score line there. Then your 1 3/4 inch mark, you're going to line that up in the track, and then also line up your center line at the bottom, and you'll score that as well. Once you have those scored on both sides, then basically what you're going to do is you're going to fold the first score line, the longest one, back towards the inside of the card. You're going to want to make sure that you have your bone folder handy to make really crisp folds. This next score line, if you can see that, you're going to fold forward towards the front of the card. And then in this last score line, you're going to fold back towards the inside. And again, you want to burnish all of these score lines. And you're going to want to fold all of these inside. And then what I did on the inside is I just put some glue dots to hold these pieces down. And I just went along, and the parts that are going to fold down to the card front, I just put a glue dot there. And I put a couple of them on this piece to fold in and glue that down. You could probably use your glue runner if you would like to be able to get this. This one I'm going to do 3 glue dots just to make sure that I get these down. So that creates the base of the card. And you just want to make sure that you're going over all of these score lines. Now the next part that you're going to be doing some measuring on is your designer series paper. Now across the bottom, you're going to want to lightly mark where the middle of this is, and this is 1 7/8 along the bottom. And this one we're not going to be folding and scoring, we're actually going to be cutting. So you'll want to use the dark blade on your trimmer. You'll line up this bottom mark down here, and then you're going to cut all the way to the outer corner on the top opposite edge. And you'll do that on both sides of this designer series paper. So you'll end up with 2 right triangles and then a large equilateral type triangle. Oh, get those off. And this part is what's actually going to layer on the front of here. And then your white piece you're going to put in here, and then you'll line these up with this. But before I do that, I wanted to stamp some snowflakes on my designer series paper. You could take a plainer looking designer series paper and add some character and dimension by just adding some stamped images and ink. And what I'm going to use is Highland Heather, and one of these stamps has a lot of snowflakes together with some dots, and then there's a smaller one that has a little bit smaller snowflakes and dots. I'm going to do that one, stamp that one in Misty Moonlight, but this one I'm going to use the Highland Heather, and I'm just going to kind of randomly across this designer series paper add these, and I just kind of turn my stamp every once in a while so that it goes in a different direction. And you can also end up stamping off, which is why we have the grid paper under our paper that we're stamping on a lot of times, so that we can not mess up our work surface. Add a bit more here. Okay. And then the other one, I'm just going to kind of bring it in and put a few of the blue. And you don't have to do a whole lot. You don't even have to use this idea at all. You can just leave the designer series paper as it is, and but I wanted to add just a little bit. Okay. Let me get those inks out of the way. And since they are photopolymer, I should have used the Stampin' Pierce mat under there, but the smaller snowflakes don't tend to cause much of a problem. It's the larger stamping pieces that you're really going to need to make sure that you have your Stampin' Pierce mat on under, especially your sentiments. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, because I want to know where to place my sentiment here, I'm going to go ahead and adhere the designer series paper triangles to, I'm going to go all the way to the edge and then fold that over, back and forth. And then I just leave a little border on this white. I want to get that out to the end. Just need to go a little bit more. And that's where it would be good to have that silicone craft sheet underneath the work surface. And then again, just leave a little bit of a border of the white. And then that shows me where I can stamp my sentiment. On this one, I'm going to use another one of the sentiments that came in this set, and it says, "In the coldest moments of the year, my heart is warm because you're near." And I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy ink, just on that white piece. And then I'll be able to put that on the inside of my card. Leaving a little bit of a border. Around the edges, and then I can adhere the larger equilateral triangle to the front. I'm going to move my Stampin' Pierce mat here. I am having a day with the glue runners, kind of going over the edges. Some of them I have to because it's a little bit small up here. Alright, and then this one is a border around here. And then, again, you could adhere these with glue dots or with Tombow glue, however you want. I'm going to use glue dots in the center. And you could also take some of these die cuts and cut some to go on the inside as well. I didn't on this one, but you could also take, I'm going to put this one in here. I used the blue adhesive back gems again, but you could also take the adhesive backed snowflakes or the holiday rhinestone basic jewels. They have the Coastal Cabana and the Night of Navy that actually goes and matches with this paper fairly well. I am going to go ahead and use the blue adhesive back gems and create my centerpiece. But you could add other die cuts on the inside or whatever, and it just makes a really pretty card, and it's really simple. Once you see how it's put together, it's not that difficult, and they're fairly easy to make. I hope that you will check out my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. I will have all the measurements over there, and then some other pictures of the cards. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and would enjoy having you to come back and check me out again sometime, and the cards that I'm putting together. I really enjoy sharing this paper crafting that I love to do. Thank you.